All right, here we are, week 5. We're talking about beauty, taste, and meaning this week. So, real quick before we dive into this week's learning activities, just wanted to remind you that today is the last day to drop a class with a W, which is no refund. So, you would get a withdrawal from a class, but you wouldn't get a refund for a class. So, if any of your classes you're needing to do that, remember today is the last day. Otherwise, you'll either be getting an F if you haven't submitted work, or you'll have to submit something for an incomplete if that is a scenario that fits your circumstances. I will be grading your week 4 work. I have time scheduled tomorrow, so hopefully I will get all of that done tomorrow. But again, always look for everything by Friday at the latest. That's always my goal, is to get things done. And it'll be earlier this week because it's Thanksgiving and I want to get all your grading into you so you've got all that in. I know it's the holiday, and so we have kind of some fun stuff going on this week, some interesting ideas that have to do with this whole idea of beauty and taste, and how do we create meaning, and where does our taste come from? We talked a lot about context last week, and hopefully you saw that, context has a lot to do with the way we understand art in a historical scenario, in a from a cultural standpoint, and that you can kind of build your own picture of how you interpret art and where your taste comes from and what it's influenced by based on this whole concept of context. So you're going to be reading and you're looking at art, chapter 7, approaches to art, and chapter 8, arguing about art, since that's a little bit what we're going to be doing this week. Your lecture for this week is a shorter lecture, so you're probably excited about that. And we're going to talk about this idea of taste and aesthetic. We're going to talk about representational art. We're going to talk about abstract art, all of that kind of stuff. So make sure that you watch that. And of course, you have your short quiz. Those quizzes, they're pretty quick, so that shouldn't take up too much of your time this week. Real short list of vocabulary terms. So we're condensing lecture material from this point on out pretty much. Artist of the Week, again, this is optional this week. This is an enrichment activity for an artist named Vic Muniz, who we're actually going to be doing an assignment about him this week. And I've included here his TED Talk, Art with Wire, Sugar, Chocolate, and String. He uses everyday materials to create some really interesting, compelling pieces. So you can explore his website here. So if you, decide to take the time to look at this, again, this is enrichment activity. There's no questions this week that you have to submit for credit. So I want you to consider what makes Vic Muniz's work so intriguing and so unique. How does his story impact his creation? How does he take something mundane and turn it into something quite beautiful? Since we're talking about beauty this week, after all. And your reflect this week, it is a journal entry, and you're going to be watching a film called Wasteland. It's about an hour, and it is actually all about the artist Vic Muniz and a project he did outside of Rio in Brazil. And so you're to type a 1 to 2 page response to this film, and I want you to include insight that concerns how art can be a healing tool and a source for spiritual joy and energy. So whose story impacted you the most here? Did your opinion of Vic Muniz change from the beginning of the film to the end of the film? And this is a really good one to watch with your family. It's totally, G-rated. There's nothing, there might be a few subjects that some of the people that he interviews in the film, just some of the things they have had to deal with, so maybe older children. But everyone gives me such great feedback on this film. People cry when they watch it. It's a very moving, heartfelt film, and it really talks about the healing power of art. So I hope that you enjoy that as much as everyone else seems to. And it'll kind of give you, it's kind of perfect for this week about Thanksgiving, because it will really make you thankful for your life and what you have. And you're also going to be doing a film review this week. Since we're talking about beauty, we're going to watch a documentary called Why Beauty Matters. And so it's for you here. You can click on the link to watch it here. And this is a 2 to 3 page review. And I want you to consider arguments both for and against the position of Roger Scruton. Roger Scruton is the historian who does this film. And again, make sure that you read that part, both for and against the position of Roger Scruton. I really want you to hone in on that. Make sure you consider both sides. There's a lot that Roger Scruton has to say that I tend to heavily disagree with, but I don't want to give you too much. I want you to kind of look into this. I will say, really consider the evidence he's giving and the evidence he's not giving, because he very much throughout the film gives only the evidence that supports his argument and pretty much ignores everything else. So I will give you that little nugget to kind of consider while you're watching the film. So go into this with a skeptical point of view. Some students come out of it and say, I agree with everything he said, which is just fine, but I just want to make sure you support all of your arguments with evidence. Don't just, spout off opinion. Opinions are great, but I want you to really kind of dig into why you have that opinion and what informs that opinion and how you can support that opinion. So you'll want to use evidence from the film or your own research as support. So this may include images if you want to use some images to support your arguments. Further, consider the concepts of taste and aesthetics, so this is material from lecture, and how they are important aspects of discerning beauty. So this assignment must include title page as always. Make sure you're doing that title page formatted either to MLA or APA style guides. This is submitted as a safe assign, so it'll be scanned for plagiarism. Be sure to include any outside research or references as in-text citations if you do them. Remember, anything that's not your own original ideas, thoughts, make sure that you're citing where it's coming from. So it's a really kind of interesting film, interesting concept, especially about 20th century art is what he really seems to have a lot of qualms with. So that's what we've got. So yes, there's still kind of a lot going on this week, but it's a little more fun. Watch some movies on your break. Hopefully you have some time off of work and enjoy. So we have film review, 2 to 3 pages, your reflection, that's 1 to 2 pages. This is optional, the enrichment activity for the artist of the week. You have a short lecture this week and your quiz and your reading. So any questions about any grades at this point, any of the material from this week, be sure to let me know, and have a wonderful week and happy Thanksgiving.